I will ask my colleague Anna. She will assist us to be like a moderator to today online meetings. Please.
Good afternoon. I'm very glad to welcome everyone on our today very important, I believe, and interesting event. And I'd like to give the floor to our president of the Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Gennady Chizhik.
Once again, good afternoon. Hello, everybody. I see my friend, my colleague Christodoulos. I see the His Excellency ambassadors of Ukraine in Cyprus and ambassador of Cyprus in Ukraine, Mr. Ruslan Nemchinsky, Louis Telemachu. Best regards from the Kiev, from the best regards from the Chamber of Commerce. We are very much appreciated this possibility to start with our negotiation, our talking by online, to speak a little bit about situation, economical situation, about possibilities to develop our relations, etc., etc. Of course, I don't like to be very original to say what we are living in very unusual time, very specific time, very unpredictable time. After many years, we will probably write special books about where the name of these books will be. I lived in the time of COVID-19. Of course, this time changed a lot of in our situation, changed many countries everywhere, not only Cyprus or Ukraine. We are absolutely sure every country, every people in the world depends on this situation. From one side, this is a lot of challenges and a lot of opportunities. We understand the world after COVID-19 will be different. We are absolutely sure that more new technologies, more new IT technologies will be in our life. This is no doubt. But anyway, we need to think about today. We need to think about our future. And of course, we very glad what initiatives was supported by all parts, Cyprus and Ukraine parts was supported, and I'm very glad what we have possibility to sit today, to see one another, and to discuss about opportunities. Of course, for me, it's very important to see my colleague and friend and friends from the Cyprus Chamber of Commerce and Industry. First of all, Mr. President of the Cyprus Chamber of Commerce, Christodoulos Angastiniotis. Best regards, and please, we will now today we will speak about first of all make a focus on investment, transportation, and some logistics. Of course, this is topics very important, and some and also in insurance, like we had agreement before. Cyprus for Ukraine is a country we know quite good, but at the same time we would like to know better, and we would like to use this opportunity to share information with Ukrainian businesses, what kind of opportunities we can to use in this situation due to our cooperation with your very nice and very attractive country. I visited many times Cyprus, and every day I was very surprised your lovely lovely country, lovely views, and first of all people who very friendly to Ukrainian, very friendly to the possibility to make a business with your country. I would like to say what Cyprus played during the practically during last 29 years, very important role in the Ukraine, like a country number one when we say about the investment, foreign investment. Now more than 32% of the investment from abroad. This is investment from Cyprus. Of course, we understand what's the role of the Ukrainian business in this investment, very big, but anyway, we need to join our efforts to attract as much as possible investment to Ukraine just now. Ukraine, as you know, has a lot of new programs where these programs can be very interesting and very attractive for Cypriot businesses. I'm absolutely sure after me, my colleagues from different organizations will present a lot of opportunities for investment in Ukraine, a lot of new projects, etc., etc. I just would like to attract your attention only one large construction program in Ukraine. This program is program about the construction of the thousands kilometers of roads, bridges, infrastructure, some infrastructures in airports, etc., etc. That's why, from my point of view, it's a very interesting moment now in history of Ukraine when our friends from the Cyprus can attract we can attract your attention to the new programs in our country. Our government now is currently developing the national economical strategy until 2030. It will be a very ambitious program, and from my point of view, we also need to discuss about a lot of opportunities for our partners and our friends from Cyprus to take part in these programs. Of course, Ukraine has a lot of opportunities. It's a country with big potential, and I just on the global economical map, the role of the Ukraine is very important in the agriculture sector. We, as you know, probably we #1 country who produce the sunflower oil. We control nearby 52% of world export of this product. We are in the leaders of the production of wheat, corns, and etc. According our calculations, Ukraine, with the population nearby 40 million people, can to produce the food more than 150-200 million people. It gives the opportunity to unite our efforts to move forward our products, agriculture products, to the new market. First of all, the countries of North Africa and Middle East, etc., etc., where we can work also together. I don't like to pay a lot of attention to the tourism. Of course, this is way now in the dramatical situation, but we needed to speak also in the future about cooperation in these fields. Ukraine also, from my point of view, became more and more attractive, like a touristic destination as well. Finishing, I would like to say thank you very much. My colleagues from the Chamber of Commerce, President of Cyprus Chamber of Commerce, Christodoulos, and Stiniotis. And of course, for me, it's very important. Just a couple of weeks ago, we met with Ambassador of Ukraine in Cyprus, Mr. Ruslan Nimchinsky. We decided to organize such type of online conference. We said and we did, and we do. Very important. I'm also very glad what Ambassador of Cyprus in Ukraine has a very proactive position, Mr. Louis Telemach, and we would like to continue our relations. Thank you very much for all participants who would like to say and to make their important role in our online conference. Very welcome. Best regards from the Ukraine, from the Kiev, from the Chamber of Commerce, and good luck in our today online meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chirikov, for the opening of our event. And I'm glad to invite for the speech Mr. President of the Cyprus Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Angastiniotis Christodoulos. Please. Unfortunately, we cannot hear you.
Κύριε Αγκαστανιώτη, το microphone.
Yes, we can listen to you. Ask again.
Yes,
please.
Christodoulos, please, how your microphone?
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me now?
Ah, fantastic. Hello.
Hello. First and foremost, I would like to say hello and pay my respects to my very good friend, Gennady Chizikov, the president of the Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce, a very good friend of Cyprus, a very good personal friend of mine. I am the person who likes Ukraine a lot, and I have visited Ukraine many, many times, traveled by road all the way from Kiev to Lvov and back on numerous occasions. And also welcome this afternoon ambassadors Tilemakou and Vokov and everybody else attending this afternoon. On behalf of the Cyprus Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the Cyprus Ukraine Business Association, I would like to thank you all for participating in this event, and I'm sure that you will find it informative and useful. The webinar today is organized in cooperation with the Cyprus Chamber, with the Chamber of Ukraine, and I would like to express my sincere thanks to all the staff that have worked on this event, and particularly the chairman of the chamber, Mr. Gennady Chizikov, for our long-term cooperation throughout all these years. As well, I would like to use this opportunity to welcome our new ambassador of Ukraine in Cyprus, Mr. Rashan Ninchinsky. We wish you the best of luck with your arrival in Cyprus, and we would be honored to invite you at our chamber headquarters at any time you are free. The economic and business relations between Cyprus and Ukraine have a very long and very successful history dating back to decades, and the numerous bilateral agreements relating to trade and economic development that have been signed over the years have created an excellent platform for business cooperation. Since the inauguration of the Cyprus-Ukraine Business Association in 2006, the exchange of business delegations are continuous almost every year between the two countries, exemplifying once again the importance placed by both countries on the economic relations. The two chambers have organized numerous events in Ukraine and in Cyprus, with most notable the visit of the President of the Republic of Cyprus, who was accompanied to Ukraine by more than 40 business people. Even in these difficult times of COVID-19, our legacy continues to live on the digital level through online seminars that gathers business people from Cyprus and Ukraine, including other countries that admire the bilateral cooperation between our two countries. I'm confident that today's online event will lead to even more new business cooperations, reaffirming thus how our already strong economic ties can be further enhanced. In today's webinar, our distinguished speakers from Cyprus and Ukraine will portray the recent and up-to-date developments in the business environment of our two countries, and will touch upon important sectors such as the maritime industry, investment funds, and the insurance sector. I urge you all to take the advantage of the opportunity and exploit the numerous possibilities that exist. Dear friends, the Cyprus Chamber of Commerce and Industry, as the leading organization of the business community of the country, is at your disposal for business inquiries, networks, and contacts in Cyprus. I reiterate our sincere thanks and appreciation to the Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce for their support in the successful organization of the webinar. Acknowledgements are also due to the Cyprus-Ukraine Business Association, the ambassadors of the two countries, and of course, all of you who have supported this event today with your participation and wish you every success in your business deliberations. Additionally, once again, I would like to say hello to this gentleman I have very high respect for, Mr. Gennady, and we look forward to meet again in person to enjoy each other's company, promote the business of the two countries, and have a vodka together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christodoulos. Thank you. I hope to also to see you very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Christodoulos, for such interesting speech. And now I'm honored to invite Mr. Ambassador, His Excellency Mr. Ruslan Nemchinsky. And we are glad to congratulate you with this important position to present the interests of Ukraine in Cyprus and wish you our every success. And please, I give the floor to you, Your Excellency.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your kind words. Dear President of Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, dear President of Cyprus Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Your Excellency, the Ambassador of the Republic of Cyprus to Ukraine, my friend Luis Telemacho, distinguished speakers and participants. This is a great pleasure and honor for me to be invited to participate today in this important event with such distinguished panel speakers and strong participation from business community of Ukraine and Cyprus. First of all, I would like to thank Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the Cyprus Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and Cyprus Ukraine Business Association in particular for organizing this virtual table discussion. I believe this highlights the opportunities arising from the recent dynamic developments in my country and active efforts of the government of Ukraine in implementing importance. At the outset, let me briefly mention 5 current priorities that the government of Ukraine outlined on its path towards the EU integration. First, this is a sectoral integration, namely integration into the EU digital and energy markets, facilitation of customs formalities in trade with the EU, as well as the integration in justice, freedom, and security sectors. The second priority is overcoming the effects of climate change and pursuing an energy efficiency policy. In this regard, Ukraine welcomes the European Green Deal. Ukraine is ready to become a reliable partner to the EU in decarbonization, in particular regarding the joint energy system with the EU. The third priority is to bring the provisions of the association agreement in line with the real growth of trade, in particular through revision of tariffs, duty-free quotas, the capacity building through the conclusion of the agreement on conformity assessment and acceptance of industrial goods following the completion of the relevant bilateral procedures. The fourth priority is bringing European integration to the region. This is what we call the decentralization of European integration. The fifth priority is the rehabilitation of infrastructure occupied by the Russian Federation separate territories of Donetsk and Luhansk regions. Of course, there's a number of obstacles on our path towards achieving these goals, but we are certain that ambitions of the Ukrainian people are bound to succeed with the support from Europe to make maximum use of the association agreement despite those obstacles. Let me stress that the government of Ukraine attaches great importance to strengthening of political, economic, and cultural ties with the Republic of Cyprus, ties that are based on mutual confidence, trust, and respect. I will be so happy to see our bilateral relations to become even better, deeper, and more dynamic. I believe both our nations have strong will to do that. In May 2018, the delegation of Cyprus-Ukraine Business Association, chaired by the president of the association, president of the Cyprus Investment Promotion Agency, CIPA, Michalis Mikhail, paid a visit to Ukraine to hold joint Ukrainian Cypriot Business Forum in the prestigious of ski events. The purpose of those events was to intensify economic cooperation between Ukraine and Cyprus. I hope that today's event, with the participation of the Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, will expand the horizons for Cypriot businesses in Ukraine that I believe will give an extra boost in our bilateral economic relations. Let me also inform the distinguished audience that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine has initiated a new form of activity on the economic track, introducing the new Council of Exporters and Investors under the MFA of Ukraine. I want to stress that the promotion of foreign trade and investments is one of the priority tasks of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Thus, the Embassy of Ukraine in the Republic of Cyprus remains ready to facilitate business contacts between our countries. Dear friends, today's discussion is organized online that has become the new normal, as we say, for meetings and interactions with our partners and friends. The COVID-19 pandemic has posed unprecedented challenges for all countries around the globe with significant economic consequences. Governments are focusing on the control of infection rates and strengthening the healthcare system, at the same time adopting policies and measures aimed to support the economy. In these circumstances, we need to pursue opportunities to strengthen dialogue and cooperation between Ukraine and Cyprus, to bring benefits for our businesses and societies at large. Ukraine is ready to support business communities in both countries to establish strong and mutually beneficial cooperation. Once again, I would like to thank our friends and colleagues who organized this event, and I wish you all of us, successful and productive discussion. And I thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Your Excellency, Mr. Ambassador. And I'd like to invite Mr. Louis Telemaco, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary, to have a speech, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So hello everybody, dear guest, Excellency. Hello. Very nice to see all of you here online. This is really a great honor for me to be invited once more in this online activity that the Chamber is organizing, and it's very nice to see dear friends and colleagues around. I would like to thank from the bottom of my heart the two chambers that are co-organizing this event. Very happy to see Mr. Ccci, my dear friend Gennady, Mr. Angastignotis, my dear friend Christodoulos, and of course a very warm welcome to Ruslan, that we have established a very good friendship, I think, for the benefit of the two, for the relationship of the two countries. Indeed, in times of COVID, the online conferences, this is the second one I attend, on investments is very, very important. I'm very happy, and I congratulate the two chambers for this initiative, and I wish to say that from my part and from the part of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Cyprus, we welcome this and we are ready to join at any time. Let me also say that as from last year, economic diplomacy has become a priority for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So we are provided with more and more tools to be active on this field. We are not yet 100% there in being provided with digital tools. We are working on it. It's a new thing, but yes. So I heard very carefully my dear friend Ruslan the 5 priorities of the Ukrainian government on the economy and investments. Let me just say that since independence of Ukraine, since 1992 and the establishment of diplomatic relationship, we have 28 bilateral agreements and treaties among the two countries, which is one of the, at least from the side of Cyprus, Ukraine is the country with one of the most, number of bilateral agreements. as we know, and as Mr. Ccci was saying, that Cyprus is the #1 foreign investor in Ukraine. There are 5 different airlines flying to Cyprus from different Ukrainian airports in the non-COVID time, with 18 scheduled flights per week in the summer season and 12 in the winter. This is one of the most well-connected places outside Cyprus. And more than 100,000 Ukrainians in 2019 have chosen Cyprus as their tourist destination. But I'm very happy that this conference focuses on 3 specific issues that maybe not a lot of attention has been paid so far. I was very happy to be in Ukraine when delegations, official delegations of the Chamber of Commerce was in Ukraine. From CIBA as well, we organized a lot of events together. And what we have been lacking was to specify to focus on specific areas. I'm very happy that we have chosen this. You have chosen the 3 chambers because you're the driving force of these 3 areas. Let me go directly to an area that I know best out of the 3, and this is the shipping area. I personally, first of all, there are more than 40,000 Ukrainian sailors with Cypriot seafarers identification and record books. In addition, in the last 5 years, there are about more than 9,000 endorsements have been issued by Cypriot authorities, giving work to thousands of skilled Ukrainian sailors. I mean, for us, this is a huge number. I have personally visited both the port of Odessa and the port of Mariupol. I have been shown around. I have seen the tremendous opportunities that exist. I am following and reporting on the privatization schemes that are happening to the 2 ports. At the beginning, they are happening. And sorry? Sorry, I thought that there was. I am following and reporting very seriously about this, and I think that there's a great potential on the field of shipping between the 2 countries. So congratulations on putting this on the agenda officially on this conference. And I'm looking forward to hear ideas of how to enlarge this section. About the funds, yes, I am also very interested to see how I can help from my side as the ambassador in promoting and enhancing this sector, which is indeed one of the sectors that the government of Cyprus is paying a lot of attention. And I'm also very happy to see the 3rd point in our agenda, insurance. Again, I follow the liberalization of the insurance market in Ukraine. I do a reporting on this. I follow it up. I inform the authorities in Cyprus. I inform the chambers about the opportunities on the insurance sector in Ukraine. So congratulations to the chambers for focusing on these 3 particular ideas. It's time to focus on specific fields, and all the best. Congratulations also for the idea of organizing these online meetings in a COVID period. Dear Ruslan, I welcome you to Cyprus, and I hope that you have a very fruitful posting here. And we have started very well by meeting a few times, the 2 of us, to promote and enhance the bilateral relationship. Thank you very much, and all the best for the seminar.
Thank you, Mr. Telma. And now I propose to start our panel sessions. Today we have 3 topics. Firstly, investment potential, maritime and shipping, and insurance. So, as Mr. Chirikov told that Cyprus ranks first place among the countries investing in Ukrainian economy in Ukraine. So it's, I think, very actual and important topic. And then maritime and shipping. This year we have in our turnover and export from Ukraine increased up to 30%. So we should know about instruments, how to export and logistics of maritime. And the third topic is insurance. Business should know how to protect their project and business. So we will start from the investment potential. And I'm glad to invite Mr. Sergey Tukach, Executive Director of Ukraine Invest.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies, Mr. President of Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce, dear delegates. Thank you very much for invitation, and this is a great honor for me to participate in this event, specifically bearing in mind that Cyprus is the country with the biggest FDI inflow into Ukraine. We understand that this is international center, and we think it's very important for us to work with you strategically. We wanted to talk to you about investment potential in Ukraine. Ukraine has a lot to offer to Cyprus. Ukraine is developing its investment strategy, and we are trying to make as many attractive investment opportunities as possible. So I would like to start from draft law, presidential draft law that is already in the Parliament of Ukraine, and it has passed its first reading. So this draft law is on incentives for significant investments. The threshold to be able to apply under this law at the moment is 30 million euros, but it may be decreased even lower, up to 20 million euros. So when investor, any foreign investor or Ukrainian investor, or a consortium of Ukrainian and, for example, Cypriot investor will apply under this law, they may get up to 30% of reimbursement in the form of state aid out of the whole investment amount. This provides big incentives for foreign companies to enter Ukraine. The areas that will be covered, they're quite broad, from manufacturing to tourism and education and sport infrastructure. So you will have a lot of opportunities to look at. And Ukraine Invest, our agency, it will be most likely state authority that will be responsible for guiding through all investors since the moment of application to the moment when you will sign agreement with the government of Ukraine. So please, if you are interested, get in touch with us and we will tell you more details about these initiatives and what is happening in this field. When we talk about potential for investment cooperation, I would support Ambassador and say that ports, it's a very interesting field. Concessions are a strategic priority for Ukraine now. So we have already in Ukraine 3 projects, concession projects for ports. We have 6 projects for roads. We have 4 projects for airports, and we have 3 projects for railway. The total amount of possible concession is over $1.7 billion. So starting next year, this stage will be very effective, and we encourage you to pay attention to this sector of possible investment cooperation. The next sector, which is very interesting, and it's going like hot pies right now, we're talking about privatization in Ukraine. Privatization, it's a very transparent process now in Ukraine. We have the new head of State Property Fund of Ukraine doing its best to make this process finally, to go through privatization process as soon as possible and to privatize state-owned enterprises. We had very successful case of privatizing hotel, for example, in the center of Kiev. Initial price was $3 million, and then it went up to $41 million. At the moment, We are working with State Property Fund on top 100 privatization targets. And when this document will be ready, we'll be happy to share this with you. Please take on this opportunity. I will not go into deep details on energy and agriculture. You know that these are strategic sectors for Ukraine. If you have interest, we'll be happy to provide details about these projects. We have wider spectrum of information laid out in our latest online material. It's called Ukraine Invest Guide. It has been presented just over 3 weeks ago. This document consists of 350 pages of analytical information about Ukrainian regulatory policy, about outlook for regulatory policy. You can see overview of all Ukrainian regions. It's a very easy tool to navigate through, even though it's 350 pages, but investor can spend 30 or 40 seconds or maybe a minute looking for specific information that is of interest to him. In addition to regulatory policy outlook in the regions, you can also see overview of Ukrainian strategic sectors of economy, and also specific investment projects that are ready for investments. When we were preparing this document, we have analyzed over 650 investment projects, and only 36 of those were included in our guide. This is because we want to make sure that when foreign investor looks at opportunity in Ukraine, this opportunity must be ready for cooperation. So when you look at this tool, you please be sure that this is a real opportunity, and we'll be happy to give you more information about this product. You can also see successful stories in this guide and all other relevant materials. Ukraine Invest is a government of Ukraine institution. We provide one-stop shop service for international investors. Our services are free of charge. You can contact us at any time with any inquiries you may have. Even if you want to open your company in Ukraine, we'll be happy to advise you. If you are interested to invest specific amount of money, we'll be happy to put you in touch with local authorities or local businesses and make this important introduction for you. If investors sometimes have any issues in Ukraine, we provide very effective and professional aftercare support. Our success rate in terms of resolution of any problematic issues that investor may have is very high, it's over 90%. So we are always open to cooperation. We're happy to provide you with detailed information about any specific sector. I will be happy to share my contact details and contact details of our team with you. And thank you very much again, Chamber of Commerce of Ukraine, for providing this opportunity to speak to international audience. And I remain at your disposal at any time you may have interest in Ukraine. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tukach, very much, and thank you personally and Ukraine Invest for proactive position and involving investment to Ukraine. Thank you very much. And now I would like to give the floor to Mr. Taras Oleiko, Deputy Chairman of the State Property Fund of Ukraine. It is also one of the most important organizations in Ukraine that support involving investments to our country. So please.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to participate in such great conference. And thank you for Chamber of Commerce for this opportunity and all participants. And I would like to present what do we have on the table currently and what is from investment opportunity from initial state property market and what is going on right now with privatization, because frankly speaking, Ukraine is one of just a few countries in Europe that still has state-owned property that is going to be privatized in a huge amount. So currently we are working on this process, and I would like to show a small presentation about it and tell a few words. What do we have, how we are privatizing right now the state property, and what are our views for the next years on this process. One moment, I will share the screen. Okay, so can you see, I'm sorry, the presentation?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so one moment. Okay, so what do we have currently in Ukraine? If we will take a look at Ukrainian state-owned property, we will see the next picture. As of now, in Ukraine, we have more than 3,600 state-owned enterprises. Frankly speaking, it's a huge amount of enterprises that is managed by more than 90 different government agencies and central government bodies. State property fund, and the role of state property fund is select and choose the assets that is not playing the important and strategic role to the state, and move these assets to privatization. And very often there is the thought that state property fund is in charge of managing of all these assets. Frankly speaking, it's not exactly in this way. State property fund is in charge of managing of these assets only during privatization process. So our role is find the assets that should be privatized, that are not playing the strategic role, and after that, move these assets to privatization. If we will take a look at the general picture, we will see that among these 3.6 thousand SOEs, 700 is really important to the state. Around 600 is currently based on occupied territories. Unfortunately, we have Crimean Peninsula occupied by Russia and Eastern territories, Donbas regions that is occupied currently. So we believe that in the nearest future, we will be able to take over these territories, but as of now, unfortunately, it is as it is. Also, we have around 100 entities that are controlled by National Academy of Science, and around 1,000 enterprises that should be liquidated. Unfortunately, the state is not always a good manager of these enterprises, so around 1,000 is just empty enterprises with a huge amount of debts, and around 1,000 can be privatized. So currently, what do we need in order to launch the successful privatization? Because currently in Ukraine, we have the third wave of privatization process. Why I'm telling about third wave? Because first wave was in 90s. It was privatization due to privatization certificates. The second wave was in 2000s, when the privatization was running through the best investment memorandums. And right now we have the privatizations that when we are selling the enterprises only through the very transparent electronic auctions, and everybody can participate in this privatization. So right now it's really a transparent process, and the role of state property fund is prepare all these enterprises for privatization. But in order to make this privatization successful, we really need the political will that is currently in place. Because if we will take a look at the nearest in the last few years, for example, during the period from 2009 to 2019, for privatization, we moved only 100 enterprises. So, and for comparison, in 2019, more than 500 enterprises were moved for privatization. So you can compare the numbers. So there is a very strong political will in place, starting from president, parliament, cabinet of ministers, in order to make this privatization very successful. And they are transferring lots of enterprises for privatization right now to state property fund. Also, parliament canceled the list of prohibited for privatization enterprises in 2019 that consist of more than 700 enterprises, which were not very often very important to the state, like huge farmers companies, agricultural companies, and others. So currently this list is updated, and it will consist only a very important companies to the state. All other companies should be moved to privatization. I'm sorry. The next slide. If you are talking about privatization technique and privatization law, all companies that are moved to privatization, they are split in two groups, two categories. The first category is large-scale privatization. It's the companies that have the book value according to national accounting standards about 250 million hryvnias. And these companies are prepared for privatization with the traction of sale advisors, and privatization of these companies are very similar to classic M&A deals. When the state is hiring the sale advisors, the sale advisor should conduct all types of due diligence, prepare marketing materials, conduct investigation of the market, long list, short list of the buyers, and it's very similar process to classic M&A deals. The second part is small-scale privatization. To this part belongs all companies with book value below 250 million hryvnias. It's about roughly, as of now, it's $9 million. So, and these companies are sold in a little bit more easier way because the State Property Fund is totally in charge of preparing this company for privatization and putting them on electronic auctions, on Prozoro sale. So currently, the list of large-scale privatization consists 28 enterprises. The list of small-scale privatization consists of more than, as of now, 1,000 different objects. So to the small privatization belongs as state-owned enterprises. Also, there is a separate real estate objects and different type of other state-owned property. All these objects you can find on our internet site, very modern one, and you can find the list of all objects in a very user-friendly form. So you can choose the object that is will be interesting for special type of investors and definitely participate in privatization of this object. What was changed? Frankly speaking, the privatization, the key point of small privatization, and during last year, the dramatical changes were applied to the small privatization process, because the law definitely defines that we should print, according to the law, some not very big amount of information about enterprise, print this information in a newspaper, that is published in with 200 hard copies, can you imagine, and describes the enterprise according to the law as the name of enterprise, definitely the number of employees and total area of premises, and general financial numbers, and that's all. So based on such information, frankly speaking, it's impossible to take the investment decision. Is it interesting object or it's not interesting object? And unfortunately, you know, only insiders have such information. So this approach was changed totally. So certainly we are meeting with law requirement, we are publishing, unfortunately we still have this in the law, we are publishing this newspaper, but we totally changed the information disclosure process during last year. So currently we are starting the preparation of every asset from collecting of all information. After that, we are preparing teasers, publishing this information on internet site. After teaser, we are preparing classical, and we are using classical instrument for M&A deals, virtual data room, where all initial information is uploaded. After announcing of the auction, we are provided a listing period at least 30 days for every object. During this period, all investors have the opportunity to conduct their own due diligence of the object, and in 30 days, a very transparent auction is launched, and everybody can participate in this auction through one of more than 42 trading platforms, get access to this auction and participate without even leaving the offices. They can get access to all information about every object. So the structure of the deals is really right now, even for small privatization, is really similar to classic M&A deals that your colleagues are working with on the daily basis all over the world. And so here we have the slide with the new internet site where you can find all objects of small privatization. And as I've told, these objects are very different. It's from state-owned enterprises or such hotels as Dnipro Hotel to small buildings in the country place all over Ukraine. There is a very nice system of filtration. All objects are put on the map, and you can find all information very easily. Also, here we have the slide about virtual data room. So all documents are split into a very comprehensive categories. So you can find, and investors can very easily conduct their due diligences. For example, for your understanding, for average enterprise, we are uploading to virtual data room more than 3,050 and 500 copies of different documents. So it's a huge amount of information for every object. And it really allows us to simplify access to information, finds against the possible corruption while obtaining data, improving privatization transparency, and increasing competition. And frankly speaking, all these steps gave the results because the main number, what do we have? It's definitely the proceeds to the state budget. And during this year, we already secured the proceeds more than 2 billion hryvnias. And by the end of the year, we are expecting to achieve 3 billion hryvnias. But it's not the main number, because privatization is not about the proceeds to the state budget. It's about, changing of the owner to more change of the owners of this object to more efficient owners, and transferring of this object, all these objects to more efficient owners to attract new additional investments in this object, and increase, GDP, increase competitiveness of these enterprises. So also there is a very one important number. It's the number of participants in the auction. So because this number shows, do all our efforts have the influence on the process? And what can we see? The number of participants in 2019 in average auction was 2.1 participant. Right now it's 3.4 participants in averagely in the auctions. And we conducted already this year more than 1,800 privatization auctions. Also, currently, we are moving a very big and interesting reform. And I would like to emphasize on this even separately, because Ukraine was one of 2 countries in Europe that has monopoly for spirit alcohol production. The president provided the law, and the parliament voted for the law that started the demonopolization of alcohol industry. And we have in Ukraine 78 productions of spirit. And right now the privatization process of all these production facilities already started. So today we sold the third facility, and we have a huge amount of such very interesting objects that can be treated as, on one hand, as product and used for production of spirit. In other hand, they can be used as brownfields that are placed all over the Ukraine. So it's about small privatization, and about small privatization this year, a few words, we are going to move from privatization from interesting object. I would like to emphasize on wheat storage facilities, and seaports. So it can be very interesting for potential investors. Also, a few words about big privatization. So right now we are working and we are on the last stage of launching the privatization of United Chemical Mining and Chemical Company. This company occupies more than 3% of all world's production of titanium ore. So it's two huge quarries that are mining titanium ore, and we are going to launch the auction, and we expect that the auction will be launched by the end of this year for this company. So it can be very interesting for big investors, really, because it's a unique object in Europe and unique object even for North America, that are main consumers of iron ore. Also, the second object that we are currently working, it's OPP, very famous factory, is one of the biggest fertilizer producer in Europe that is placed on the seaside and has a very interesting export facilities. We expect that the auction will take place early next year. Also, we are preparing right now Electro-Vajmaj. It's a big producer of electric engines and generators for hydroelectric stations and for nuclear electric stations. And early next year, we expect to launch the privatization of energy distribution company. We have 6 energy distribution company under our management as of now. And in Ukraine, the new RAB tariffs were approved finally. So this company also will start to be very interesting and with a huge potential for investors. And we are going to launch the privatization also early next year. So what I would like to tell you that currently Ukraine really has a huge amount of investment opportunities, and these opportunities are not like opportunities in the next few years, but these opportunities are right now on the table. So you can come and you can participate in the auctions that are currently going for this different type of objects, state-owned properties, and we are welcoming every investors, as foreign investors, also Ukrainian internal investors, to participate in this privatization and visit our internet site, see all objects and all list of privatization objects, and participate in one of the few world's initial state market of state property. Thank you a lot once again for opportunity to show Ukrainian investment objects that are currently moving for privatization. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tarasenko, and thanks to the State Property Fund of Ukraine for such detailed information and your activity. And now I'm glad to invite our partners from Cyprus, Mr. Andreas Yasemidis, President of the Cyprus Investment Fund.
Good afternoon to everyone. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's always a great pleasure for me to present one of the most. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay. It's always a great pleasure for me to present one of the most promising sectors of the Cyprus economy, the Cyprus fund industry. It's very important to know, first of all, what are the main uses of a fund? What is a fund? Fund is a collective scheme in which investors subscribe for units, and the fund manager invests this money in accordance with a predefined prospectus in which the investors are full aware. Here we can see the various uses of a fund. Fund can be established as a strong weapon to defend substance, because the fund is well regulated, is well monitored by a risk manager, portfolio manager, compliance officer. At the same time, globally is considered as an alternative way of financing. We have seen that many projects all over the world have been financed through alternative investment funds. It's considered as a very good choice for asset protection and succession planning. Furthermore, more and more family offices prefer to establish a fund which is has predefined policies, in which case you will be able to avoid any future disputes between the family office members. So what we have done in Cyprus, first of all, we have identified there was room for another player in the European fund industry. And since 2014, we have a new, flexible, and attractive legal regime for alternative investment funds. This new regime, combined with other benefits that I will analyze in a while, have contributed to the significant growth of the fund industry in Cyprus. As you can see from my presentations, Cyprus managed to have an increase on total asset under management of close to 200% from 2016 to 2020, from 2.7 billion euro to 8 billion euro. At the same time, based on reliable statistics of EFAMA stands for European Fund and Asset Management Association, Cyprus experienced the largest NAV increase in asset under management in the second quarter of 2020. This is very important. It's considered as a vote of confidence for the Cyprus fund industry and at the same time for Cyprus economy in general. Another point where it's clear that Cyprus fund industry is gaining a momentum is the fact that now Cyprus fund are eligible to be listed in all the major global platforms such as Clearstream Estima, Bloomberg, Topsoil Reuters, and others. Moving now to analyze why someone may establish a fund in Cyprus, we can, let's say, summarize the benefits in 5 pillars. First of all, the strategic position of Cyprus on the crossroad of 3 continents provide access to high growth markets such as Israel, Middle East, and Asia. At the same time, Cyprus is a full member of European Union, and if you establish a fund in Cyprus, you will have access to the single European market without having to get licensed in any other European country. This is very well received by fund managers who consider Cyprus their gateway to the EU. At the same time, the cost, both the setup and the operational cost of having a fund in Cyprus is much lower than in any other jurisdiction. Indicatively, I can say that the cost of having a fund in Cyprus is more or less 1/3 of what is the cost of a similar structure in Luxembourg or in Ireland. And this is not because we sacrifice the level of quality in our services. Cyprus used to be a center of excellence for financial services for so many years, but because, as in general, labor costs, rental prices, and other costs are much lower in Cyprus than in Luxembourg or in Ireland. Furthermore, we managed to have reduced bureaucracy in reviewing the application of a new fund or a new fund management company in Cyprus. Through the new legislation that we have, there is a proper transparency, meaning that the investors will be well informed about the structure, about the investment, about the portfolio, in order to know what will be the return of their investments. At the same time, as I said before, we have introduced a very flexible legislation incorporating best practices for investor protection from other well-established countries in this area. We have transposed all the EU directives regarding the fund industry into local legislation, and we have a very business-friendly regulator, and in general, Cyprus is considered business-friendly jurisdiction with no onerous reporting requirements. At the same time, our government, in an effort to attract foreign fund management companies, provide additional tax incentives to all these companies to establish a structure in Cyprus. The tax incentives of a fund which are very important are summarized in this slide. First of all, we don't have any subscription tax on the net asset of the fund. We have an exception from tax on any capital gains on the disposal of financial instruments. We have an exception for capital gain tax for any sale of immovable property outside Cyprus. No stamp duty. We have a very low corporate tax rate, 12.5%, which can be reduced to 2.5% through the notional interest deduction, and a wide network of double tax treaties, including a very attractive double tax treaty that we have with Ukraine, with more than 60 countries. Furthermore, more specifically for the fund industry, any management fee charged from by the fund manager to the fund is exempt for VAT and will be taxed at 8% and not at 12.5%. So effectively, we have a private equity fund investing in venture capital in Ukraine, let's say. There is no tax, both at the level of the fund, but also at the level of the investor, because we don't have any withholding tax on any dividend paid to the investor. We don't have any tax on the redemption, disposal, liquidation of the shares of the fund, and no capital gain tax on transfer or redemption of the unit holder, assuming that there is no Cyprus real estate asset. To summarize, what I want to say is that Cyprus now has all the ingredients in place to continue growing as a reputable EU fund hub, and I'm sure if there are important opportunities, I've seen the previous presentation, there are important investment opportunities in the Ukraine. I believe that a fund in Cyprus, having, let's say, raised capital from various investors, will be able to consider all these opportunities. Thank you very much for your time and your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yassinides. And I'd like to address to our Ukrainian participants that you can find such information on the website of Cyprus Investment Fund and contact practices of representatives of this fund, and we'll ask about any other information. Sure, yes?
Okay.
Thank you. And
Thank you.
I invite Mr. Alexandros Yosefidis to start our another panel session, Maritime and Shipping. Mr. Alexandros Yosefidis, Deputy Director General of the Cyprus Shipping Taxation System. Please.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, we are here.
Great. Excellencies, presidents of the respective chambers of commerce of the Ukraine and Cyprus, ladies and gentlemen, if you will allow me to upload my presentation, and I will try to be as quick in going through as possible. Some items have already been covered by the previous speaker. So, okay, I will say a few words about Cyprus shipping. Hopefully I will entice some of your Ukrainian ship owners, ship managers, or people involved in the shipping industry in the Ukraine to look to Cyprus as a possible destination for doing business. And our motto here on the island, the Cyprus Shipping Chamber, is that we are the voice of the Cyprus shipping industry. In my presentation, if I go back, I will cover a little bit about Cyprus Shipping Chamber, Cyprus in general, which, as I said, has just been mostly covered by the previous speaker. Cyprus, a maritime center. Why should someone come to Cyprus to do business? The taxation system, a little bit more detail. The Cyprus flag, because here in Cyprus, we are talking about a fully blown cluster, including a resident shipping industry and a sovereign quality flag. And I will conclude with 3 or 4 bullet points on where we could see synergy. We paraphrase the sea just to bring in the sea in cooperation between Ukraine and Cyprus. From the outset, I must say that there is already cooperation, and the number of our resident-based members are employing very good and confident Ukrainian crews. I think there should be Ukrainian companies, ship-owning companies already operating from Cyprus, but that I have no details. Very quickly, we were established in 1989 as an association by 17 members. As the trade association of the shipping industry in Cyprus, our membership today comprises 200 companies. It is not obligatory to be a member of the chamber to operate as a shipping company. So there probably are some other companies out there, more companies that are operating from Cyprus, but not members of our association. A large number of ships being managed and being controlled from Cyprus, either owned, and 76 million gross tons of shipping. That is a substantial number and capacity of ships. And our membership consists of ship owning, ship management, chartering, and shipping related companies. These are companies who have set up here specifically to target the ship owners and the ship managers to offer services to them and to the wider region in the Middle East and North Africa. And success of Cyprus in the shipping sector is very much due to the very close cooperation that we've had through the years with the successive governments in Cyprus. And that is also reflected in our motto, in our memorandum of association, that we have been set up to promote Cyprus shipping, to further the reputation of the Cyprus flag, and at the same time protect the interests of our members both nationally and internationally. A few things about Cyprus in general, and particularly shipping. We are an international shipping center. We have some of the world leading companies, ship management companies based here on the island, operating on the island. As a fleet, Cyprus as a flag ranks 11th in the world and the 3rd biggest in the European Union. Limassol, I would say Cyprus, I should not focus on Limassol. It's one of the largest ship management centers worldwide. Our sector employs 9,000 employees and 50,000 seafarers of various nationalities. Now, 9,000 employees may not sound a big number to someone who comes from a country with a much bigger population, but for us, 9,000 is a substantial number of the gainfully employed, highly skilled and highly qualified personnel. And of course, we contribute 7% to the gross domestic product of the island without state investment. It's all private business in relation to shipping. Looking at Cyprus in general, again, I have put down a few, but not exhaustive comments. Our strategic location and time zone, you can do business with the Far East in the morning, you can do business with the Americas in the afternoon. Of course, a member of the European Union and a member of the European Monetary Union. There is political stability and well-developed ties with the Middle East, Central and Eastern Europe. We are, as we say, the crossroads of 3 continents here. There's a robust legal and regulatory framework, which should be very important for anyone who wants to do business in place. High quality professional services, accounting and legal services. And we still believe that there's a very good environment to live in Cyprus. On the fiscal side, of course, and this is the corporate tax, because shipping comes under a separate tax, which I will address further down. We have a corporate rate of 12.5%. Already mentioned 6 double tax treaties with 60 countries, no withholding taxes on interest and dividends, no taxation of capital gains, and no tax on dividends, interest, and rental income of non-domiciled individuals. If I now turn more specifically to our maritime cluster, our maritime industry, as a maritime center, Cyprus has recently, since 2018, moved all the responsibilities for shipping into a separate deputy ministry, which directly reports to the president, so that shipping gets the attention that it requires. I don't know if can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you and see you, not see you, but we see the presentation.
We've lost the image. Sorry, I will continue with the presentation then. As I said, we're a leading maritime cluster. We are a cluster. We encompass a full range of shipping and shipping related activities. So someone who will do business, shipping business in Cyprus doesn't have to look far for services and other consultancy. We have a comprehensive and favorable tonnage tax system, which is EU approved originally in 2009 and reapproved in 2019 for 10 years, applies to ship owners, charterers, and ship managers. And that is very important for someone to have tax stability for a period ahead. Provision of quality and professional services to the industry locally, as I have said. Excellent cooperation and relationship between private and public sector. We work very closely with the Deputy Ministry of Shipping. We are their free of charge consultant, I would say, and that is, I think, as I said, one of the successes of Cyprus in shipping through the years, that the government listens to the public sector. There's a well-structured, organized, and represented shipping community. It's a low cost of doing business, and there is a supply of high-skilled and multilingual shipping force. Specifically now on the shipping taxation, as I said, we are EU approved since 2009, reapproved in 2019. The system is based on a tonnage tax. You pay a fee based on the capacity of the ships and the tonnage of the ships that you manage, and there's no connection to the corporate tax. And this system is obviously available to owners of Cyprus ships and foreign ships who set up an owning company here on the island, charterers and ship managers. A host of tax exemptions, no tax on income derived from the management or operation of qualifying ships engaged in qualifying activity. Now, qualifying activity in gross terms means a ship that trades internationally and carries cargo or passengers. That is the wider explanation, but under the system, there are specific ships that can come into the tonnage tax system. There's no tax on the income or profit made from the sale of a qualifying ship, no tax on the dividends paid to the shareholders out of profits made from the management or operation or the sale of a ship, qualifying ship, no tax on bank interest and on working capital of a qualifying ship. There's no tax on the salary or other benefits of the master, the officers, and the crew members of a qualifying ship. That is any ship that is in the tonnage tax system of Cyprus. Going specifically to the Cyprus flag, and that would be of interest to Ukrainian ship owners, you can actually use the Cyprus flag, and you are then using a European flag. There's a simplified registration procedure. There is at the moment and recently passed a no registration and mortgage fees payment upon registration of the fee. There's a full protection of financiers and mortgagees, which is a consolation to your financiers and your bankers that they are secured with providing a loan to an owner. The competitive fees and dues for registering a ship under a Cyprus flag. There are no registration fees, but maybe you will look at the cost and the charges in the process of running your ship for 10, 15 years. And if you add all that together, it's very competitive compared to any other flag. The flag in itself is a quality flag. It does not come under scrutiny in the Paris and Tokyo MOUs, the Memorandum of Understandings. In the US Coast Guard, of course, it also has a very prominent position. It is not targeted. We have a host of and have signed all the important and all the international maritime conventions on safety and pollution prevention. For owners, there's all the flexibility that there's no restriction on the nationality of the seafarers they will use on their ships. And of course, here there are specifically more than 25 bilateral agreements on merchant shipping that you can take advantage of when doing business out of Cyprus. And a quick closing on my behalf, just the 3 or 4 pointers on where we could promote business between our two countries. Certainly, looking at the advantages, it is beneficial for someone who set up a ship management or a crew management company here in Cyprus and provide services relevant to both activities. You can actually then look also, if you're a company that provides services, shipping related services, to again set up here on the island. This activity does not come under the tonnage tax, but it does come under the 12.5% corporate tax. However, it is, as said already, one of the most competitive tax rates in Europe. And we already, as far as I know, have cooperation and members who are actually promoting Ukrainian shipyards and promoting ship repairs in Ukrainian yards to the local industry here. One of the sectors that we hope will come up soon, and it will develop a lot of prospects, is the offshore sector. here there would be a tremendous prospect for someone to come and set up to offer services to the offshore oil and gas sector, and even including management of ships, tugboats, and specialized ships that will provide services to the offshore sector. The other advantage that one can look at is to set up an office here which can actually attract and market to the nearby region. We have excellent relations with the Near East, the Middle East, North Africa, and of course Europe, doing business out of a European location. And finally, something that was mentioned, and it is of course the Green Deal, but of course the blue growth, which is now in the priorities of the United Nations, of everybody almost, look to the sea for prospective business, for prospective development. And there is also here, we have set up a Cyprus Foundation of the Sea, where Ukrainian institutes or Ukrainian businesses can actually look to developing and promoting research and development in the maritime sector. And this in a nutshell, just to introduce Cyprus, the Cyprus maritime sector, and always at your disposal. And thank you for providing us information to make this presentation. Sorry for losing the picture.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yosefidis. And if you don't mind, we'd like to reach this information, this presentation, that we will resend and disseminate this presentation among our Ukrainian participants and Ukrainian companies that interested in export to Cyprus or import from Cyprus, and they need more information about maritime and shipping.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'd like one more address to our participants from both sides, that you can comment all the speakers and write your questions, remarks in our chat. And if you have some comments, you will raise your hand. Thank you. And I'd like to invite Mr. Andriy Haidutsky, our next speaker. He is chairman of the supervisory board of Seaport Administration of Ukraine. So, Mr. Haidutsky, we are glad to invite you, please.
Good afternoon, Your Excellency, dear presidents of the Chamber of Commerce, dear colleagues. First of all, thank you very much for presentations that were already done. It's very interesting. I just would like very shortly inform you about the maritime industry of Ukraine, about Ukrainian seaports. Actually, maritime industry among of the few industries in Ukraine that still develops despite COVID-19. Still, we have growth in terms of cargo. For 9 months, we have plus 5% of the cargo turnover, and we plan for this year to have 161 million tons of turnover. It means we will have probably a new record for transshipment of cargo through seaports in Ukraine. Even in Soviet times, Ukrainian ports transshipped only about 164 million of tons. So for this year, we could have over 160 million. That is really good. Among this, about 70% is export, mainly agriculture and metallurgy. So we plan that export will be for 123 million of tons, and import will be only 23 million of tons. And the import actually is decreasing quite strongly. And the transit is still very low. It will be for this year about 10 million of tons. So it is very important for Ukraine to develop its transition potential. Probably you know that Ukraine has 18 ports, 5 of them in Crimea, so unfortunately they could not be used by Ukrainian Seaports Authority, but 13 ports is quite well developing. As you know, in Ukraine last year, the new concession law was voted by the Parliament of Ukraine, and it is actually a very good law because it gives a lot of opportunity for public-private partnership development, as on the state level and on the local level and on the state enterprise level. It means that even the state enterprise could give a part of its assets to the public-private partnership or to the concession. And in this case, Ukrainian seaport authorities also participated in the concession projects. We give part of our assets, first of all, berths, to investors for long concession terms, like from 30 to 40 years. In general, according to Ministry of Infrastructure, about 9 ports is planning for concession. 2 ports are already in concession. As you may know, several months ago, 2 concession projects were signed. One with Q terminals. It's port in Nikolaev, with name Olvia, and another one in Kherson seaport. It was signed with Resoil, a Georgian Sweden company. But 9 more ports is preparing for 6 more ports is preparing for concession, and 3 ports are prepared for privatization. Those 3 ports that are for privatization are already transferred to State Property Fund, and I hope that next year there will be privatization auctions. When we are talking about concessions, about 6 ports, it is a much longer process. We are waiting the closest concession tender in the end of 2021. It will be in the port of Chornomorsk. There will be 6 berths and 1 and 2 terminals like Ro-Ro. It means that cars could be transshipped from by big ships. So we are interesting to invite international investors to participate in those concession projects. All projects is going to be and is preparing together with IFIs, with IFC, EBRD, and some other consultants. So it is very good that international financial institutions is going to give additional finance and is going to support private investors who are interesting in concession projects in Ukraine. Among other 5 concession ports is Odessa seaport. It is passenger terminal in Odessa. It is Berdyansk seaport. It will be a full port that is going to for concession. It is a Mariupol seaport also as a full entity. Reni seaport and Izmail seaport. So Berdyansk, Mariupol, Reni, and Izmail, these 4 ports will go in as a fully concession projects, not by berths. Only in Chornomorsk and in Odessa, those berths that are still in state hands, they will be partly distributed to concession for 30-40 years management by private side. And the consultant, the professional consultant that will be hired on the tender, they will give advice what kind of concessionaire is the best to use this berth in order to develop the ports in Ukraine. 3 smaller ports, as I said, is going for privatization, and I think a state property fund or Ukraine Invest could give you more information about these enterprises. But in general, I would like to say that Ukrainian government is paying high attention to have more private-public projects in transportation industry, including maritime industry, because we understand that the level of investments into the transport infrastructure is still very low. It's about only 10% of total investments. So this is like a bottleneck in the Ukrainian economy, and if you would like to grow faster, we need to do much more investment into the transportation sector. But the government and state-owned enterprises, unfortunately, do not have this huge investments because we need to pay dividends to the budget, and that's why government is ready to go for private-public partnerships in transportation, including maritime industry. So this is shortly from my side, and once you have any questions and would like to have more information about information in concession projects in maritime industry, please ask our Chamber of Commerce for additional information, and we will provide it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Andriy Hayinsky. And now I propose to start our third panel session with the topic of insurance. And I'm glad to invite Mr. Vyacheslav Chernyakhovsky, Head of Insurance Business Association in Ukraine. Mr. Vyacheslav, please. Give the floor.
Добрый день, коллеги. Спасибо большое за приглашение и наш маленький спич по поводу страхового рынка Украины.
Вы будете переводом, да? Окей.
Thank you for invitation. I'm glad to say hello to everyone, and let me introduce Vyacheslav Chernyakhovsky, Director of Insurance Business Association, and I am a Deputy Director, and I am a speaker today. Our association is the biggest professional union of insurance companies in Ukraine in terms of the number of participants. And I would like to summarize the core information about investment opportunities in the Ukrainian insurance market. So, the first, the Ukrainian insurance market, yes, I forgot. Vyacheslav tried to show you on the screen some infographics about current market situation in Ukraine in Europe. So, the Ukrainian insurance market, unlike national markets of Eastern Europe countries, has highly diversified insurance portfolio. What does it mean, insurance portfolio? It's a range of the insurance products. MTPL market share is only about 15% of the total insurance premiums. This indicator, MTPL market share, confirms a fairly high level of industry development. And an adaptation of the directive Solvency II and Insurance Distribution Directive, European directives, Requirements for Ukrainian national insurance market is in progress. Regulatory model of state supervision has been reviewed as well. It helps us to increase market transparency and stability. The rate of return on investment in the EU have been steadily decreasing for several past years due to the overestimate regulatory requirements of the Solvency II. Solvency II is highly sophisticated regulatory documents, and now some of European specialists says that Solvency II requirements is overestimate regulatory policy. The Ukrainian insurance market could offer additional interest and opportunities for investors and so regulatory model of state supervision has been reviewed as well. The rate of returns on investment in the EU has been steadily decreasing for several past years, and the Ukrainian insurance market could offer additional interest and opportunities for investors and better return on investment rate because our market is not so highly regulated. According to an economics forecast, the loan volume in Ukraine will be increasing. As a result, we predict growth in property and car purchases and the corporate sector development. This factor should have a positive impact on the volume of national markets insurance premiums. So the market, we predict, will be growing, and it create new opportunities for the investors. Now, more than 160 insurance companies of different size, type of ownership, and with different business models have been successfully operating in Ukraine. This fact creates huge opportunities for investors to choose an investment object according to the investor needs and interests. Minimum investment threshold in Ukraine is significantly lower than in Eastern European countries, which are already EU members. So there are several dozen insurance companies with foreign capital or investment on the Ukrainian market. Ukrainian insurers are really interested in raising capital from strategic and portfolio investor. And we will be glad if investors from Cyprus join Ukrainian insurance businesses and expanding opportunities for development. Thank you for invitation and thank you for your attention.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Vyacheslav. And I'd like to give the floor to Mr. Andreas Athanasides.
Thank you.
Cyprus Association.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Your Excellencies, the presidents of the chambers, associations, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the last speaker, so I will, we are already running on overtime, so I will make sure that we move fast through our presentation. I will talk about the Insurance Association of Cyprus, the insurance market in Cyprus, and very quickly, the Cyprus market opportunities in the insurance industry. I think the previous speakers have made a great job in describing Cyprus in general, so I will not speak about that. Now, the Insurance Association of Cyprus counts more than 40 years in the Cyprus market. Pretty much all the companies in the Cyprus market are members of the association. We cover almost the whole market. We are members and we participate in the Executive Committee of Insurance Europe. This is a federation of the insurance associations in Europe. And we are also members of IUMI, which is the International Union of Marine Insurance, specializing in marine-related insurance. We are also proud members of Cyprus Chamber of Commerce and Industry. By the way, I would like to take the opportunity and thank for honoring me with this invitation to speak, and also the corresponding chamber in the Ukrainian chamber. Now, let's talk a little bit about the numbers of the insurance market in Cyprus. For 2019, the premiums have reached 892 million, almost 900 million, with the distribution between life and non-life varying for the past 5 years. As you can see, it's around 43% for life and 57% for non-life, and it's more or less moving with this ratio. You can see here that we have a very healthy market moving upwards, quickly recovering from the slowdown we had in the period of 2013 with when the financial crisis occurred. In 2019, our claims have reached 498 million. You can see the distribution between life and non-life. Again, these are healthy numbers indicating some stability. You can see that the life claims in the period prior to 2015, that was the period of the economic crisis, and that's when the insurance industry has shown its strength. I will speak a little bit later about that, providing liquidity into the market, supporting our customers and the people who unfortunately had to cancel their contracts, especially the life contracts, because they needed help. A quick slide on the distribution of the non-life premiums. You can see that the A&H, which is accident and health, essentially the health-related insurance, together with motor, are the biggest players. Fire comes third, liability, and others. So you will see that, again, we have some really strong distribution in our portfolio. And in this next slide, you will see that for the past 3 years, again, we are talking about solid growth per year for most of our areas, our classes of insurance. I will stand specifically in the health. As you know, in Cyprus, we have the national health system starting up in 2019. We had a solid growth which continued throughout that period, indicating the trust that we have in our insurance market, which means we do have a really strong and a market dependable insurance system in Cyprus. Now, the solvency ratios, for those who understand what that means, with a very stable and a high number of solvency ratios in 176, 179, 77%. Again, this shows a strong foundation in our market. Now, based on what I have said, I think there is no doubt that our market in Cyprus is a healthy market, is a stable market. As I said, since 2013, when we had the slowdown and the insurance market, together with the rest of the economy, came almost to a standstill, our insurance held, the market, our insurance companies held well, and within 3.5 years, they fully recovered and went back into higher limits than they had before the financial crisis. So this is a well-performing market, solid foundations on the market, and of course, it's a market with potential for more growth. Our per capita GWP, gross written premiums, are a little bit less than 1,000 euros, which gives it a lot of potential for increase. I will also stand to the fact that we have a properly regulated market. It's a stable situation in Cyprus with proper regulation, which it does make it attractive for an insurance company to come to Cyprus and set up its operations to work in the European Union with the freedom of services and freedom of establishment regimes. Despite all that I have said, there is also no doubt that the Cyprus market is a crowded market. We have 30 insurance companies for an island of 800,000. I think in the previous speaker, you have seen the slide of the number of insurance companies for Cyprus, and we were one of the high performance. But we are a crowded market, but despite that, while someone may think that this is a turnoff, I believe it's a reason to make this market more attractive and provide a lot of opportunities for investors. I think that with the growth opportunities that we have in Cyprus, an investor investing in one of the many companies that we have in Cyprus will have great potential to grow through people, through enhancing people, bringing in more people on board via the sales channels, employing different alternative sales channels or enhancing the current channels, and of course, growing through acquisitions, which is a great market for that. At the same time, technology providers do have a ground to work with the insurance companies here in Cyprus. We have new regulatory requirements coming up, I would say, every day. It's a highly regulated market. We have the new standard, the dreadful IFRS 17, for those who have heard it, which is going to require a lot of investments from the insurance companies in technology and changes. And of course, InsurTech, which is this refers to the use of technology innovations, similarly to FinTech, designed to squeeze out savings and efficiency from the current insurance market. So InsurTech is a big thing for insurance companies, and it's definitely coming up. That's all I had to say very quickly. I would close with encouraging you to direct anyone who is interested to learn more about the insurance industry in Cyprus to reach out to us. Our association is open to provide any information you would need. Our website, it may look a little bit out of fashion. We're in the process of refreshing it, but it does have a lot of content. There is a lot of statistics on our website. Like I said, if you need any additional information, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you very much. And I will leave to the moderators for directing the questions and answers session. Thank you.
Mr. Athanasides, thanks a lot for your presentation and such detailed information. And I should inform that that was the final speech and presentation for our today event. And I know that our ambassador, Mr. Nimchinsky, is still with us, and maybe you can told us some closing remarks. And then we will start our question and answer session.
Thank you so much. I've got a great deal of information this evening as a result of this extremely interesting and productive exchange of ideas. I believe that we will pick up on everything that we have heard during this conversation, this discussion, and will make it possible to continue dialogue in any and every sphere that we have touched upon. I wanted to stress that the information relating to the Ukrainian reforms and investments can be found on the Ukrainian embassy website for those who are interested in having more detailed information and have those presentations downloaded and used for further works. But I would like to thank again the Chamber of Commerce, both Ukrainians and Cypriot. I would like to thank all the participants. I want to stress that both Ukrainian embassy here and Cypriot embassy in Kyiv are absolutely devoted to strengthening our dialogue, to push forward businesses, to make everything possible that we can in our force to help to facilitate our businesses and to provide positive deliverables. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And on behalf of the Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, I'd like to express our gratitude to all the participants and speakers for your time and interest. So if we have some questions and answers, please hand up your hand or write in chat your questions or desire to add some information or remarks. Yes, if you do not have any questions and remarks, I'm grateful for your time. And can I ask a question? So we can, yes, we can.
Yes, thank you very much. May I ask the two chambers of insurance whether they have contact and whether they have signed an understanding or a memorandum of understanding between them, or are they in contact, the two chambers of the insurance, the Cypriot one and the Ukrainian one? Otherwise, I think it's my job and the job of His Excellency, the Ambassador, Mr. Naminsky, to promote this, and I think it's a good idea to do that. Can I have the answer from the two chambers of insurance? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. No, there is no agreement or any memorandum of understanding signed with the Ukrainian. What we can do is we can come in contact, perhaps with your help, and see if there are any opportunities that we can share with them.
Yes, I think that this would be a practical outcome that can come out of this from this webinar or seminar, online seminar today. So if you please send us a draft, if you can send us a draft of a document that you would like to exchange with the Ukrainian, I would be very happy to promote it to the Ukrainian side, and then the two of you can forward with an agreement. Thank you. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you for your questions and answers. And my colleague told me that we can also be interactive and exchange contacts and requisites for further cooperation. So you can use our chat, or we will send contacts of our participants through Cyprus Chamber of Commerce and Industry for the Cyprus participants, and for Ukrainian companies we will send Cyprus contacts as well. Thanks a lot. So now I can finish our conference and wish you good luck. See you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you as well. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.